Morale was low at the end of the second round, but it turns out everyone else was having trouble too. Can we pull off a win in this blue-on-blue engagement? It's the third round of the tourney, and we dust ourselves off because that last round was kind of a downer, and it most certainly put us in a position where achieving first place is pretty unlikely. But apparently everyone else had trouble with the second round too, so it's not unlikely, or not impossible, to at least pull off a strong second. And here we are taking on the Novaks, who are using a similar list to what we got going on. They've got two large infantry blobs, lots of towed guns, a looted KV, some Lux, a lot of Pioneer supply vehicles, and a elephant, as you can see down there. His entire army is actually very unique. It's very pretty, very white, so it's going to stand out in this footage. And as they deploy in this scenario surrounded, you can see that they put two gaggles of infantry, both centered around the two wood sections around on the other side of the boards. They very wisely put their wire up right next to the city because I have a lot of trucks, and it was very tempting just to kind of rush off that pavement right into his face, but I opted not to. In fact, we're only going to use some of the trucks up here on the northeast side of the board up there. Nonetheless, he puts that terrifying elephant on the left side of the board, and they conspire to put all the other tanks on the right side of the board. I would much rather deal with one KV-1 rather than the elephant and all the Lux over there on the other side. I mean, combine that with the wire, it just seemed unpleasant to have to go through, especially if you have to go over the hill. So Hunter and I get together. We make a quick strategy session as I mean, they already deployed. We didn't even bother going anywhere else, and we decided, you know what, we're just going to pincher off this section of the board. We're going to throw all 2,000 points of stuff that we have against their roughly 1,000. So we go ahead and put the Panzer III Ins here on the southern side. We're going to make sure that they take on the infantry, or as much as they can, and we're going to put the Panzer IV Fs up there. They've got the trucks backed up behind them so that the infantry can hopefully bolt forward while they stay in the trucks. But on the southern end of the board, we're going to let the infantry dismount as pick up all my parts. You can see right there we actually had a pretty nasty table accident as all my stuff hit the floor. Again, our plan is pretty straightforward. We're going to pincher them off from either side. We're at least going to jingle with the assault rules just a little to at least pin one side or the other, and hopefully pin the whole platoon and then send the other one in. We'll see how that works out for us. The Novaks immediately see something is up and begin moving the Lux forward up onto the railroad, getting ready to put themselves into a position so that they can support that nasty offensive that we've already got brewing. And our turn starts off to a really bad start as we try to get air with 7 dice, don't manage to get it, so we're going to go it alone. We move the trucks and tanks forward. Infantry failed a stormtrooper out of the trucks. That's disappointing. Meanwhile, the tanks move up, start peppering everything that they can see, and they manage to pin the infantry alone, just an MG fire. That's not a bad start. Since we're not actually going to start an attack, we let the 2-gun Nebelwerfer battery hit the infantry, and he's packed so well into there, and because just slightly off camera, our observer in the building in the back can actually see just about everything out there, I managed to pin the 3 odd platoons in there. He opted not to attach in any meaningful way the guns to the infantry platoons, which is an interesting strategy, but the Nebelwerfer managed to ring home, taking down well, at least pinning all the infantry and bailing one of the Lux. Imagine that. Now, with all our forces on one side of the board, it's very clear to our opponents what we're doing, so it's just a matter of time. They need to move everything down there as fast as they can. KV-1 doubles back, tries to take some shots at the relatively lighter tanks, and goodness knows we're still terrified of KVs at this point, looted or otherwise. He makes his shot down range. I do believe he bails one of the Panzer III's out. It's no big deal. We're going to get right back into that thing. Ferdinand fires downtown, blows up one of the trucks. We don't know what he hit, but it blows up and kills everyone in it. And surprisingly, the trucks are pretty okay with this rapid development of high velocity rounds. 7.5 infantry gun manages to take a lucky shot on one of the Panzer IVs and manages to kill it outright. My buddy Hunter's just a little bummed that we lost that one, and another AT gun manages to kill another 2 tanks down on the southern end of the board. So we lost 3 tanks, and we have nothing to show for it. But I calm my buddy down. You know, it's okay. It's okay. They don't have any template weapons. Just group up and let's push into the enemy position, and we're gonna make this work. It's gonna be great. Just watch. So this is the big turn 2. We push the tanks forward. We're going to swing them wide around the infantry company because we want them to get them as many shots in as possible before we get the MG teams off of the Pioneers to do some damage onto the enemy teams as well. The idea, again, is that I don't want them to all kind of group up on each other or kind of, you know, step over top of each other. We want to make sure that we get all those MG dice as many MG dice as possible. So you can see them over there on the right. We're just kind of wiggling around trying to get the maximum effect while we move the tanks up on the hill on the other side to get maximum effect on the other side. And this is it. This is the do or die moment. We got to squeeze them off of the hill. We got to push them off. We're going to do just as much damage as humanly possible. And I make some sort of really weird call. I do the math on what to do with the artillery. I consider throwing smoke, but for what godforsaken reason, I thought, you know, now I'm going to go for the pin. I'm going to throw the artillery down to get a pin with two tubes. And wouldn't you know it, I get the pin on all 3 of them again, and I managed to kill 2 infantry stands. The odds were not in my favor, but I don't know what I was thinking. I should have went for smoke. Flamethrowers off of our team managed to light up those snow-ridden bastards and gives them something to think about as they go home. And we mount up for the tanks. We decide, okay, this is it. This is our big moment. The flamethrowers have done as much damage as we can. Let's send those Panzer IIIs to do the one thing we have them in all the lists for. We send them on the offensive. Push them into the tree. They swing, they kill, they cause a motivation check for the enemy infantry, they decide to motivate, they come back, they go to swing. All they have is the platoon commander with a Panzerknacker. He swings, he does no damage to the tank manages to take a motivation check, we motivate with the company commander, he fails, the tanks have to break off, they're breaking off through the woods, they all bog, 3 1s. All they were fighting was the platoon command leader. That was it. They all were lost. In a minor miracle, we make the Panzer F2s. We're shooting at the KV-1, and they manage to bail it. But otherwise, oh man, I would have sent them into that infantry. I would have told Hunter just to run them down because I was just incensed, bloodlust as it was. But that's just not how it rolled. With all the infantry destroyed that I could have assaulted and nothing else closer, my own infantry didn't motivate or were not able to make the assault. So he moves his infantry back to counter-assault, moves his flamethrower teams out to the open, opens up with the flamethrowers and destroys 2 of the stands that I had backing up the tanks and pinning them and pushing them off back out of the forest. Time is running out. We need to take the objective. We can still do this, but the elephant is coming around the corner. He has his Lux here that are now rushing down the side of the board for a very specific purpose, and the planes still haven't showed up. We have priority air, and they have yet to show up at all. So this is the white knuckle moment. We have to cinch victory before we have to deal with that Ferdinand. So we do it as must at this point, and we push the tanks forward. We move the infantry up into the woods right behind the tanks. We're going to try to assault the tanks, those Lux. I think at this point one of them is still bailed. He's been bailed forever, and we're just going to have to make this work with that short group of Pioneer MG teams. For some poorly thought out reason, I continue to use the Nebelwerfer as a direct fire weapon, trying to get the pins, and against all odds, I keep getting it. I keep pinning down his infantry. I could just shoot them, but, well, you know, those tanks aren't there to do it anymore. So now the MG infantry has to do it on their own. So we send the Nebelwerfers off after it. The planes finally show up. I get real excited because they managed to pin down on the Ferdinand, but they don't kill it. In fact, they do bail the CO of the Pioneer companies, but there's it doesn't manage to get the kill. So close, so close. Pioneers thrust forward into the woods. We're going to take that position whether he wants me to or not. They take a hail of MG fire, but they manage to move in anyway. They take a swing against the infantry. They get their kill. They get motivated to counterattack, and they manage to wipe out nearly everyone to a man. And then we go to motivate to counter assault again, and we decide, nah, it's best to run away. But in the assault, we managed to bail out 2 of the Lux, but we didn't manage to take it. We're actually down just to the CO. The CO of the Pioneer Company was the last guy alive. Every man in that infantry platoon has died in that assault. We'd have a counter-assault on the other side of the board, but the Panzer F2s are still busy trying to kill the KV-1 because we are still deathly terrified after the last match. I don't know, it's probably not the best use of assets, but we keep bailing and double bailing it, but we just can't quite kill the KV-1. I mean, we have to take care of it before we can take the objective anyway, because he's close enough, I think, to contest it. Snow Germans move forward, light up their flamethrower, manage to kill quite a few stands that somehow hadn't died yet that were escorting the tanks on the north, leaving the platoon down to just 2 infantry stands at a command stand, and looking in rather dire straits as they now face down the Elephant and a Lux over there on the other side of the building. Meanwhile, on the southern end of the board, their Luxes close in on the Nebelwerfers that have been giving them such trouble. They will wipe them right off the board. It's not even a context. Again, I passed the joke, you know, the rifle teams are going to fire back at the Lux. Ha ha ha. Yeah, no. No dice. No dice. But we're not giving up without a fight. We're going to keep going until the bitter end, as we still have most of the platoon of tanks. They've been shot to pieces by the infantry guns, just kind of sitting out there taking their pinned shots at whatever they can. So we decide, okay, let's do this. Let's send the tanks in. We move the CO of the infantry company up forward to go ahead and mount his own one-man assault, and we let his tanks on the other side assault the infantry on the other side of the hill. They managed to do so successfully, wiping off a couple stands, but eventually failing to motivate to continue the assault. Meanwhile, the CO for the infantry company, the Pioneers themselves, decide to go in for the assault, and the flaming remains of several of their own squad members and nearly an entire company of infantry lay about him, and he figures, I'll just go get more men, right? And he doesn't. He doesn't motivate. So that's a pretty solid win for them. We threw everything in the kitchen sink at them, but we just kept failing. I'm not sure what we would have done differently on this one, but this has been an Ouchies Batrep, and thanks for watching. Just goes to show that dice will screw you, given some sort of opportunity to do so, because, I mean, 3 1s? I mean, it still hurts as I'm doing the narrating right now. The pain is real. And even after those tanks bogged trying to disengage, I assaulted with the other infantry that was right next to them. But since they were next to a tank, with the CO there, guess how many 1s I rolled to get them to motivate to attack? Yeah.
Still terrifying. You're assaulting Pioneers.
He's not Pioneer though.
Oh, well.
Right, round. Roll it. No, because you're 1IC over there. 1IC right there. So re-roll it. No. So Pioneers back off. This guy comes in.
Oh, sweet. Okay. He's going for that Iron Cross.
The Panzernacke.
Where's the?
Unfortunately, he doesn't have one.
Music. Blood for the blood god.
Hit. Ah.
Yeah, you rolled.
End of my turn.
One. It wasn't that.
Bail. No.
It's dead.
It's a. You have 82 on your top. So you roll a 1 plus 1. That goes to 2. You are tied. He will die if you back off.
But it's a Panzernacke.
No, he's not. I was joking.
Okay.
That was a joke.
Oh, okay.
That was a joke. He's not Panzernacke.
I was gonna say you killed the buddy. All right.
That's Late War where all the anti-tank guns get Panzernackers as well. So he's bailed, and then you have a morale test.
Morale test. That is the 1IC. You re-roll that bastard. No, you.
Bog check. 2 bog checks.
That's your dice.
Okay, 2 bog checks. 1ICs want to do differently because he might. If he bogs, it's bad.
1 die. No, he bogs.
3 1s in a row.
No, you.
4 1s in a row.
God, why?
So
4 1s in a row.
capture. The gun commander did it.
You gonna send the infantry in next?
Yes! We're sending it in out of spite. I mean, why? They're just all destroyed.
There, take this.
Just. You had this!
Hey, guess what? Your dice did it all.
Why'd you roll so many ones? That's a command team! Alright, okay.
Okay.
What's that big hairy thing? It was a bear that attacked us in the middle of the game. It turned the tide in the favor of the other team.
That's what it is, it's fair. Okay, so we're sending the infantry.
Bear.
Because
Bear.
screw you guys.
Tank terror. Because there's one active.
I don't even know if they can get in.
No, because they. I told you can go.
Oh yeah, I can go to the previously assaulted.
But tank. It would be tank terror.
I have to do tank.
So let's see if it even happens.
My one IC's over there. Do it. Oh, but it's a 1! It's a 1!
And for those of you keeping score at home, Team Armored Weasel did get Best Sportsmanship for the tourney, and the Dunkirk Award. Seriously, Fenderhalle was a lot of fun, and we look forward to doing it again next year. So we met a lot of really interesting players and played a lot of interesting games, and hopefully our strategy and tactics will be just a little bit tighter next time.